so much. Thank you, guys. I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to try to bring a lot of energy. I am in costume today, so this is my typical daily outfit. And I thought, why put a suit on? Because this is me, right? So this is the me now. I think I'm going to go through here. Okay. So I picked this picture to start the day because I think it's just a perfect way. It's just a perfect picture, right? The dog has it right? The dog's not thinking about anything about being in the moment. All of us have all these things in our mind constantly, and I just want to give you an opportunity right here, right now. Let's just set all those things aside. So this is all about getting out of our comfort zone. I'm going to have everyone stand up. We're going to do a breathing exercise, okay? This is the way the breathing exercise is going to go. So I'll start it, but when I start it, we're going to take our arms from the side. We're going to inhale up. When you inhale up, I want you to focus on your breath. When you exhale out, I just want you to leave all the stress behind. Everything that you're dealing with in your head, at home, at work, kids' sports, all that stuff, just put it aside. We're here, we're in the moment, we're gonna have a great day. So, big inhale up, close your eyes, focus on the breath. We're gonna do 4 of these. This one's gonna feel good. Exhale down, good, 3 more. Enjoy it, inhale up. Big exhale down, 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down, and last one. Big inhale up, and exhale down. For my gym, I always say, breathe in love, exhale all the haters. Okay, let's go ahead and sit down, and I'm gonna jump right in here. So this is the presentation today. I'm gonna talk first about the anchors from hell. I'm a firm believer that we all have, as we grow up, we have anchors that get tied around our ankles, and they drag us to the depths of the deep, dark ocean, so we're gonna talk about those. We're going to talk about why comfort is death. I'm going to walk you through my $750,000 loss to date. So most people come on stage, they talk about making millions of dollars. I'm going to show you how to lose $750,000 in 3 years. In the next 2 years, I'm projected to go over 1 million in losses, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why it's important and why it matters to you. And then I'm going to do something at the end I've never done, which may or may not be a GoFundMe request for you guys to support me. So I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. All right, let's start here. Has anyone ever seen this movie, Limitless? Bradley Cooper? All right, cool. So it's an awesome movie. Bradley Cooper is this down on his luck guy. He's got this like long hair. He's super unmotivated. He can't get a job. He doesn't really have any skills. He has no desire to learn or care, and his girlfriend ends up leaving him. And then he stumbles upon this black market drug, which he starts to take, and it turns him into a superhero, basically. Superhuman, right? He gets these superhuman capabilities. He can learn things extremely fast. He retains knowledge like no one else, and he's just moving at a faster pace than he's ever been. He basically 100 times himself overnight and became this amazing version of himself, right? So you guys, and throughout this whole conference, you're talking about technology innovation. I lived in this world for a long time. It's always about the limitless capabilities of technology. Now we have ChatGPT. I can literally say, write me 30 emails for my fitness members on nutrition. That thing does it in 5 seconds, right? It's amazing what technology can do. What I'm trying to do is get you guys all today to think about what you look like 100x the version you are today, right? Because I really want to just limitless beliefs on who you really are as a person. Because what I know over the last couple years is that we have a superhuman within us. We all have potential that has been untapped. We have limitless capabilities. It's just figuring out how to tap into those. So if you think about nothing else today, as in regards to my speech, I just want you to really visualize what the 100x version of you looks like in all of the areas of life that mean the most to you. So showing up that 100x person as a parent, as a spouse, in work, in recreation, in the things that you love, etc., right? So jumping right in, if you've seen any of my presentations, you've probably seen this, and I've talked about it just because it's such a good foundation. This is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Anyone ever see this? We understand it, right? All right, so he developed this to describe the drivers for human motivation. At the very bottom is what like we were dealing with over 100 years ago, right? It was all about air, water, food, shelter, sleep, that kind of stuff. After that, we're looking at safety, and then we're looking at love and belonging, and then we're looking at esteem. At the top of this pyramid is self-actualization. Does anyone know what that word means? It's on there, so if you could see it. Go ahead, what does it mean? Yeah. Becoming the best version of yourself, right? Realizing your full potential as a person. God Gandhi said it right, where he said, there is no passion to be found playing small and living a life less than the one you are capable of living, right? So the challenge with this for most people is it's very vague. Like, how do you know what your absolute potential really is? So the way that I think about it is I think about it in terms of you going after the best version of yourself, you chasing your true potential, you always working to learn, grow, expand, and show up as the best version of yourself in all the areas of life that mean the most to you. That is actually the path to finding your true potential. I believe that's our true purpose on life, here on life, right? I feel like each of our purposes is to figure out who we truly are, what we can bring to the world, because that is a gift that only we can give. So I always ask people the 6-month test, and I'll be fair, this is a really hard question when I ask someone like one-on-one and they're not expecting it. I'll ask you guys, I'm not gonna ask for any hands. If anyone has an example, you can tell me, but I always ask people, what is something that you're proud of doing in the last 6 months? You being proud of you, right? This isn't like, oh, I went to my kid's baseball game. Everyone goes to their kids' baseball games. It's about you. Like, what have you actually done in the last 6 months that you were like, I am so proud of that? If you're proud of it, it's because you did something that really challenged you, right? You put yourself into a challenge, you went through some hard stuff, you came out a better version on the other side. That's usually what makes us proud. So I ask people that because my theory is if you are constantly making yourself proud on short-term intervals, you're working towards that path to becoming the best version of yourself. If you're not, you're at this, what I call like base camp of life. You're sort of sitting in this comfortable bubble and you're not really ever challenging yourself, which means you're never gonna grow. And like Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So I'll switch off here, I think. Oh, that's a pointer, sorry. All right, so this is where the anchors come in, right? In the pursuit of chasing our true potential, I have found that there are a lot of anchors that hold people down, especially in my role, which is fitness. I see every reason possible for people to not live a healthier lifestyle. And so I always talk about it like this. I love the metaphor of climbing a mountain, right? And for me, like, it doesn't matter what the top of that goal is. That could be starting your own business. It could be writing your book. It could be doing your first 5K. It doesn't matter. The point is that there's something out there that you really desire, and to get it, you're gonna have to go through some struggling, some suffering, some grinding. I love these people. I love people that are always on the mountain. They're fighting, they're struggling, they're in the trenches, they're suffering, but they're working to improve and become a better version of themselves. Down here is kind of like base camp, right? Where everything just becomes sort of status quo, and you just kind of sit in that stage for a long period of time. And the reason for that, for most of the reasons are up here, these are all the anchors that I have concluded really hold people back, right? So one is like their beliefs. You have self-limiting beliefs. You don't believe that you can do the things that you once thought you could do. As a kid, you said, I wanted to be a pro whatever, you wanted to write a book, and then as you grow older, you're like, oh, I don't think I actually have the skills to do that, or whatever it would be. You make excuses, you have negotiables, you negotiate with yourself. We'll do a fun experiment. How many people have kids in here? All right, so could you imagine your kids coming home from school and saying, like, I don't feel like doing my homework today? You probably don't have to imagine that. You probably do that, right? Imagine you actually saying, oh, okay, that's cool. And then the next day you say, I don't want to do my homework today. And you say, oh, okay, that's cool. That's absurd, right? We would never do that. But when it comes to things like living a healthier lifestyle, fitness, I get this all the time. People are like, I want to lose 30 pounds. I'm like, I know exactly how to get you to lose 30 pounds. I have the plan for that. It's the top of that mountain. I have the whole path up that mountain. Here it is. This is what you're going to have to do. 3 days later, I didn't feel like working out today. I didn't feel like, eating healthy. Or like, I couldn't do it today, right? They start negotiating with themselves. They start making excuses. That is what's holding people back. You can't negotiate with yourself on the things that you really want out of life. How many people in here drink coffee? Do you wake up in the morning and say, I wonder if I should have coffee today? No, right? You get up and you make coffee. It's like, it's on autopilot, right? When you want something, if you want to write a book, getting up and writing 3 pages every 5 days is not going to get it done. There are non-negotiables. You have to get up and you have to write. It could suck, but you still have to do it. You have to put in the work. You have to hit that levels of resistance, and you have to be able to push through it. Now, comfort on here is highlighted for a reason. The reason comfort's highlighted is because to unlock all of these other things, to implement discipline into your life, to get rid of the excuses, to make the non-negotiables, to get rid of the self-limiting beliefs, you have to push through your comfort zone. You have to get outside of the areas of life that you're just comfortable, right? So that's why this one's important. And I'm gonna give you an example, because this doesn't always have to be dramatic, right? I'll give you a really small example, one that's really powerful. So that's me and my daughter. I'm the guy dressed like the idiot, right? And so my daughter started cheering at Seneca Valley. She's a cheer comp. Anyone ever been to a cheer competition, like where the cheerleaders all compete against each other? It is crazy, right? Like mayhem. I felt like I was at a college D1 football game. It was insane. And so I'm there, and I'm in the Seneca Valley section, and like Seneca Valley comes out, and they're cheering, and the girls are going crazy, and the parents are just like, woo, woo, good girls. And then New Brighton comes out. Anyone from New Brighton? I was going to give you a shout out if you're from New Brighton. So New Brighton comes out, and the parents are going crazy. There's like 100 of them, and they're on their feet, and they're screaming, they're cheering, and they got signs. And I'm like, man, my daughter like would love that, but we don't do that for the girls, right? It's just like, we're just like staring at them, like, oh, okay. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go out of my comfort zone here a little bit. I don't know any of the parents from Seneca Valley. I didn't know how anyone would react to this, but I'm like, I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna be the mascot. I looked up what their mascot looks like. It does not look like me, but that was as close as I could get. And I'm like, I'm gonna do face paint. I'm gonna dye my hair blue. I'm gonna put stuff all over my arms. I'm gonna get a megaphone. I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna cheer for these girls. And I tried learning the cheers the day before at the football game, and then they go into the competition the next day. So I'm like, I'm gonna be on the megaphone cheering with them, right? Have no idea how this is gonna go, and I stand up, and I'm in the crowd, and I'm just screaming the cheers with these cheer girls, right? And so it turns out the girls really loved it. And as I did it more and more and more, the parents behind me started getting louder and louder and louder. And last week, I show up, and I'm walking in, I'm in my costume, and all the Seneca Valley parents are like, come over here. We got a seat for you right in the middle. They put me in the middle, and our cheering section was something like it's never been before, right? So the reason I say this is because these don't have to be dramatic examples. Was this comfortable for me to show up looking like that with parents I've never met and screaming on a megaphone? No, that was definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I knew what it would mean to my daughter, and I knew what it mean to all of the other girls, right? So I did it, and it had a dramatic effect. We, for the first time, are actually thinking we might be able to beat New Brighton in a cheer award. Last week, we were going at it. New Brighton's standing, they're like screaming at us, we're screaming back. I lost my voice, I was worried I wouldn't be able to show up today. It was a thing. Anyway, all right, moving on. So, I put this up here for a reason, because when we talk about comfort and going out of your comfort zone, people are always like, yeah, like, I got invited to go to this party with 6 people I don't like, and that definitely puts me out of my comfort zone, but you're saying that I should do that. I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, that is not, if it's not helping you, if you're not growing from it, we don't want you to be in discomfort, right? It's pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone in the areas of life that it's actually gonna mean something. It's gonna help you grow as a person. So I just defined the comfort zone really quickly here, and then I kind of put that magic zone, because it's stepping into those areas and that little bit of discomfort that's really what is rewarding, right? And so I put this formula up here. Doing hard things, taking on challenges, going outside of our comfort zone is the surefire way to learn, grow, and expand who we are, what we're made out of, and what we're capable of, and how we show up to the world. Comfort is death. If you're not growing, you're dying. Like I said, it's Tony Robbins. And I put on here, take it from Survivor. Is there any Survivor fans in here? All right, awesome. So I'm going to set this up. We're going to watch a small video, if I can do it here. So this is Ethan from Survivor. This is season 40. So Survivor is one of the best shows ever on television from a reality perspective. They're on like 44 seasons now. If you don't know the show, in a quick synopsis, 20 people go to a deserted island, and they basically have to lie, steal, cheat, do everything to be named the sole survivor. They vote each other off the island. They're only fed rice for the most part, so they get meals every now and again, and they compete in a lot of challenges. The trickiest part about it is you have to make loyalty with the people that you're there with, but you also end up backstabbing them in the back and lying to them and cheating and doing everything you can to beat them, because ultimately there's only one survivor. So this is season 40. They brought back 20 of the best players to ever play in season 40. It's the best episode. If you're going to go watch Survivor, just go watch season 40. It is the greatest season of all time. It's the best players that have ever played. They're playing against each other for, this time, $2 million and the chance to be crowned a 2-time Survivor champion. Ethan, after he was on the first time and he won $1 million, he was diagnosed with cancer. So that was, I think, like back in 2013 or something like that. So fast forward to season 40. He's cancer-free and he's back. He's at the edge of extinction, which means he's been voted off once. And at the edge of extinction, they were put through a test. They had to do this challenge. They had to walk up and down a mountain to grab a log 20 times, and they had until sunset to complete it. So on television, it didn't look like much until you started seeing what they were all going through. So I'm just going to play this clip for you. It's like 3 minutes, and you'll enjoy it. I'll be able to.
Pick it up. Pick it up.
You okay?
Yeah.
Stop. Sit.
Yeah. No, I just did. It's a tough challenge right now, and struggling to get through it. So I gotta finish by sundown. So I'm going as fast as I can. I'll go until my legs collapse, or the sun goes down. I may not finish, but I'm not gonna stop.
Hey, Ethan. How are you doing? I'm going to take your blood pressure and your temperature, okay? Feeling lightheaded? Yeah. You feel like you're going to faint? Yeah?
All the time.
Okay. Let's have a look at you. Your blood pressure is low, and if you're feeling faint, then it's likely that you will faint. Like, it doesn't get better from running up and down, okay? That feeling won't go away.
I was so, like, disappointed in myself. Like, I just wanted to, like, complete this for myself. I'd already put in 16 trips. I had 4 more trips to finish this thing. I just did not want to quit.
Ethan.
What's up, fellas?
Proud of you, dude.
Keep going, keep going.
How do you feel now after having a bit of a rest?
Good. I feel
Better?
great.
So I think if you really want to carry on, you've got to make sure you take those rests. Yeah?
I wanted to set a good example for, like, everyone who's been through a health challenge and thinks they can't do it anymore. Like, you can do it. You can get through those hard moments. And I just sucked it up. You got this. You've been through a lot worse things. Like, I kept saying to myself, like, remember when you were, like, getting spinal taps, when you were getting radiation, and I started saying, like, the mantras I was using when I was getting chemotherapy to kind of get me through these hardest moments. I was like, remember, 7 years ago, you were locked in a hospital room, close to death.
After seeing how much Ethan struggled and still pick himself up, it was inspiring. It was incredible. And so on that last run for him, we felt like we all need to be a part of that.
Thank you. They all went with me to finish the last leg, which was pretty touching. Oh.
Last one! Woo-hoo! I all of a sudden realized the bond that we've created in this very short time. Woo!
All right, cool. So the reason I picked that clip in particular is because it's just a great depiction of what Survivor is all about. And so these people go on, they're trying to be the $1 million winner, and there's fame and all this stuff that comes with it. So you say, like, oh, that's like, that would be fun. That'd be easy to go on that show. You win a lot of money, you become famous, right? What ends up happening inevitably all the time is that these people are put in a place in life that they have never been. They find a version of themselves that they've never found, and they always have these really inspiring speeches about what they're now like as a person when they're stripped away of everything. So the ego's been stripped away. All the complexities of life that they're usually dealing with are gone. They're in sort of like starvation mode. They're in this hyper-competitive state, and they start to realize like who they truly are at their core, right? And they do things that they never thought they were capable of doing. So I love using that as an example, and I wanted to talk quickly about the magic mindset. So there's a common phrase out there, the first one up there, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Anyone ever hear that? Yep. So that just means get a little bit more comfortable putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Well, then there's another mindset that I heard, and he's a pro Ironman athlete, and he's one of the racers in the Tour de France. And he said this, and he said, I hear that a lot, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, but I'm actually uncomfortable being comfortable. And I thought about that for a second, and I'm like, that's really interesting, right? To that person, base camp's not an option. They're always chasing. They're always growing. They're always grinding. And if they're not, they're actually really uncomfortable. So let me ask you a question. We'll do a little experiment. If you were to get handed $10 million today and they said, you're done, go live on a beach, all the complexities of life that you deal with today are done, who thinks that they would honestly be able to just go live on a beach for the rest of your life and do nothing else? Anyone? Yes. There's always like at least one that thinks that they could do that. I would challenge that. I think after like maybe a month, you're gonna be like, what am I supposed to do now, right? It gets really uncomfortable, and we're kind of like all in that state. Like we don't mean to be, we just get kind of trapped in this state where we're just going through the motions, right? We're not really ever challenging ourselves. And for me, my big moment was, you want to be an Ironman or do you want to be a drunk? And I used to say that to myself all the time because I would always be out with my friends and I'd be drinking, and it wasn't that I was actually a drunk, but I felt like I wasn't working towards something. So when I actually started working towards being an Ironman, people would always say to me, they're like, how do you ride your bike in your living room for 5 hours straight and then go run for 2 hours? And I'm like, the pain of doing that is actually less than the pain of sitting on my couch, drinking beer, eating Cheez-Its, and watching Sunday Night Football. It just is. It didn't used to be like that. I used to be the person that ran from anything hard, and I hated that person. I literally, if it was hard, I wanted nothing to do with it. I loved just being able to sit on my couch, watch TV all day, never challenge myself. But I got to a point where I realized that one day I'm going to be on my deathbed, I'm going to be looking back, and I'm going to be asking questions. Could you have created your own business? Could you have been an Ironman? Could you have done ultra endurance events? And I didn't want to not know the answer to those questions, right? That was painful to me, to think about just wasting my life. And I'm not saying you waste your life if you watch Sunday football, eating Cheez-Its, drinking beer, but I got to a point where I was really uncomfortable being comfortable. I wanted to be challenged all the time, right? I keep clicking the wrong button, sorry. So now I want to kind of get into my life of regret here. That's where I was, right? I had everything society told me I was supposed to have. At the age of 32, I had 4 properties, I had this big house, and I was actually thinking about this the other day. I'll tell you guys the story. So I bought my house in 2009, right after the collapse, so I bought it at a great rate, right? 5 bedrooms, 9 acres of land. I was your neighbor, right? Were we neighbors? Yeah, so you know what house I'm talking about. Big in-ground pool, hot tub, right? In-law suite in the basement. My mortgage on that house was less than what I pay now for my 600 square foot apartment, right? And I'm thinking, why the hell did I sell that? Anyway, I had vacation home in Panama City Beach. I had 2 rental properties. I had this big house. I had this investment portfolio. I was making roughly $150,000 a year plus bonus, and I had a lot of cool friends, right? So I was like jacked in life. I was like, I got it. I got everything that society told me I was supposed to have. But I hated the person I was. Mostly because Okay. Yeah, so I basically hated the person I was because I ran from hard things, right? So this was no longer the life that I wanted to live anymore, because I felt like this, right? Where my soul went to die. So I Googled pictures of a lion in a zoo, and came up, and I'm like, that's basically like what I felt like every day, right? I honestly, not to get into any arguments, I think seeing lions in the zoo is one of the saddest things to see. These are like primal creatures that are designed to hunt and to thrive on the hunt and to thrive on being in a community where they're protecting each other and standing up for each other, and they're in the wild. Yes, there's risk. Yes, they could be killed or hunted themselves, but that's what they're made to do. And you put them in a cage and you hand them slabs of meat, and then you have kids walk by and taunt them through the, like, that's not what lions are meant to do. But that's what I felt like. I felt like I had this soul inside me just die. The flame was gone, and I was just like, there's so much more. There's so much more to do, so much more to be, so much more to give, so much more to create. And I wanted to, like, do that. I didn't really know how, but I wanted to do it. I came across this quote, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And that's Neil Donald Walsh, the quote. And I was like, I'm going to unlock the zoo. I'm going out. I'm going out into the wild. And it's scary out there, but guess what? That's where I want to be, because I can't keep living this protected, comfortable, safe life. The thing I really asked myself was, if I keep making all of this money, but I really don't grow much as a person, and I'm just a person that keeps running from hard things, I never challenge myself, I never figure out what I'm capable of, will I regret that life, even if I make millions of dollars? And the answer was yes, right? You're going to regret that life. So let's unlock the cage and get you out. So I left, started my own business, and this picture could represent a lot of things. I set everything on fire, basically. I put this in here because I love the mantra, burn the boats. Anyone hear that? Burn the boats, right? Or burn the ships? Yeah, so the premise behind this is when you're going to battle and you're on your ships and you got your team behind you, you get off the ship, you're going into war, the general turns around and says, burn the boats. Because we're going to fight here and we're going to die here, we're not leaving. We're going to either fight and win or we're going to die. There's no retreat, right? That's basically what I did to my life. There was no turning back. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I gave up my career. I built a gym of all things in January of 2020. We launched. If you know history well, you know what happened in March of 2020. Everything was shut down. Everything was shut down. Gyms were like the worst thing that you could be in. Like, I always wonder if I should have went through like a checklist. Like, want to open a business? Yes. Is it a gym? Yes. Will there be a global pandemic? Yes. Don't do that, right? I did it. We were in it. But here's what happened. I realized despite everything going on, I actually was loving it because I was learning so much. I was back in the war. I was out in the wild. I was fighting and I was learning. I said I wanted to be put against the ropes. I wanted to see what it felt like to get backed into the corner. Be careful what you wish for. That happened. This is from Troy. Anyone ever see the movie Troy? Yeah, there's the great quote from Troy, right? Like where he's going to fight the giant and the little boy's like, are you going to go fight that giant? And he's like, yep. And he's like, I heard he's never been defeated. And Brad Pitt's like, yep. And he's like, I wouldn't fight him if I were you. And Brad Pitt looks at the little boy and he says, that's why no one will ever remember your name. It stuck with me. I didn't do it so people would remember my name, but I wanted to be back in the battle. I wanted to be learning, I wanted to be growing, and I wanted to be doing things that like really, I felt like I was fulfilling my true self and fulfilling my true potential. What I knew was, the truth was, in corporate America, at my current position, from my learning, knowledge, skills perspective, I was here, and the next 3 years, 1 year, whatever, I was gonna go maybe to here. I didn't want that. I wanted to go to here. I didn't want to go 10x, I wanted to go 100x. I was trying to figure out ways to do that. So I set it all on fire, and to date, it's cost me about $750,000. That's opportunity cost, right? So I pursued one opportunity, and I left the other one behind. The one I left behind would roughly be around $750,000 plus the ongoing investments. And I'm like, that's okay, because I 100x my skills, or I'm on the path to 100x my skills. I learned more in 3 years of building my own business than I could ever imagine learning on the career path and trajectory I was on. By the way, this is not a case for you guys to all leave your jobs and start your own business. We'll get to like how this matters to you. But I not only 10x my skills, I 100x my skills. I 100x my value. What do I mean by that? I truly believe that if I were to go back into corporate America, I would be 100 times more valuable to a company than I was 3 years ago. Just because of everything I've been through. I had to learn every facet of the business, every single one, sales, marketing, operations, and it's constantly fine-tuning, it's constantly buttoning it up. What I learned more than anything is probably the greatest skill you can have is how to deal with a variety of people, right? Every personality possible, every desire possible, and managing all those relationships. I have 150 members now, and I manage every single one of them like one-on-ones. I treat them like they're my team. We have one-on-ones. I'm in conversations with them constantly, right? We're talking about their goals. We're talking about their plans. We're talking about everything. I have a whole team of coaches. We have 14 coaches, but I know every single member, first and last name. I'm friends with every single one of them. I became friends with every single one of them, and we're building, like we're on a path together. We're on a journey together, and I'm working with them, right? I became an ultra athlete. That would have never happened if I didn't start getting outside of my comfort zone. So I tell this story because when I talk to my members, they're like, yeah, but you're just like this great athlete. I drank and smoked for half my life. I quit every sport in high school. And 5 years ago, I had trouble running 1 mile. My first race, I think, was a Spartan race. It was 4 miles. I remember training for it. It was a 1 mile run. That run sucked more than anything ever sucked in my life. And I was like, I want to go home. I want to crawl under the blanket. I don't want to do this anymore. And it was that moment that I was like, this is what I hate. I hate that I want to run from something like this. So I started using running as the way to not only get into better physical shape, which is why I started running, but I actually started using it to get back into better running shape. So I still tell my members, I don't like running. I actually hate it. And they're like, you run a lot for someone that hates running. So I went from running 1 mile to I've completed 2 50-mile ultras now. I was going for the Eastern States 100 on August 13th. It's the hardest 100-mile race on this side of the Eastern State or the United States. I did not make it. I made it 63 miles in 23 hours, and I missed the cutoff. I'll give you a whole bunch of excuses of why that happened, but at the end of the day, I wasn't ready for that race. I'm going to try another 100 next November. But I started going after things like that I would have never have done otherwise. We create platforms that serve. We have a bunch of things that are actually serving and transforming people's lives. I put hundreds on here. It's probably close to thousands at this point. If you look at all of our platforms and all of the Google reviews and all that, we have a 5-star review across every single testimonial that we've ever had. What I love about it more than anything is that these are people that have never felt comfortable going into a gym in their life. I have countless people who said, I've never even worked out before I came here, never went to a gym, and now they're thriving. We have women that are like squatting 200 pounds that never worked out 4 years ago. They have their moms, the kids, never even thought about exercising. Now they're completely transformed their lives. So that's really powerful for me. We raised over $40,000 for people in need in the community. We get to talk, I put this as a joke. I get to talk people out of becoming entrepreneurs now by doing stuff like this. I'm just kidding. I actually do get an opportunity to come in and do workshops at companies and work with their leadership teams and do stuff like that. So if you guys have any interest having me come work with your team, just reach out to me. That's the stuff that I really love doing. So I started building this new life, and yes, it cost me $750,000. The question I always get is, do you regret it? The answer is no, I would have regretted not doing it. And I knew that, and that's why I did it. Would I like to make that money back? Yes. That's why there's a GoFundMe coming at the end of this. All right, so enough about me. The only reason I really tell my story is because I hate listening to presentations where people are like, you got to get out of your comfort zone. The whole time I'm thinking, what have you done? How have you gotten out of your comfort zone? Like, I want to hear your story, right? So I give that as a little bit of the credibility, but really, like, this is all about you. Like, I know there's a superhuman person in all of you. And I also know that you guys are very high-performing people. So please don't take any of this as like, he said I was at like 30% my potential. The reality is we are. We are only at a small percentage of our true potential. When we really start focusing on going after the things that matter to us in life and chasing that, you're going to start to unlock some potential within. I can promise you that. There is a superhero in all of us. There is a gift that only you can give. And there is a light that only you can shine. So that is my goal in doing these presentations. I want people to see what they're capable of. Just yesterday, I had a woman, she came into the gym and she said, Chad, I gotta show you this. She pulled up her phone. She showed me a picture of her phone. She's 53 years old, I think, something like that. And she's ranked #1 in the nation in the Masters Swim program. So when she started at the gym years back, she had been going somewhere else, but she started at the gym. She started following my journey a little bit of the Ironmans and stuff like that. And I was swimming in the master's program to learn how to swim. So she came and she's like, I might get back into swimming myself. So she got back into swimming. Then she started coaching. And then she's like, you know what? I'm not done. I'm going to go back and compete. So she started competing last year. Right now, there's been 3 races. She's ranked #1 in the nation. She hopes to be number 15 by the time it's all done. There just hasn't been enough races yet. So she's like, don't tell everyone I'm that good because I'm not that good, but I'm doing pretty good, right? I have a 66-year-old woman that's never run in her life. She ran a 5K. She was super proud of that. Then I told her about this 6.6-mile trail run. This is where my marketing gets a little tricky. I need people to sign up to my races, so I don't ever tell them how hard the races are that I design. And I didn't tell this lady that. This was a 6.6-mile trail run through the woods. She's 66 years old, and she's like, do you really think I can do this? I'm like, yes, of course you can do this. This is like, you got it. Meanwhile, this is like a really hard race. But I did believe in her, and I knew she'd tap into that potential. And she did. I just looked at the pictures the other day of her crossing that finish line. We actually had a video of it, and it melted me. I had a kid that was like just going through alcohol addiction, and like he just was drinking a bottle every single day, and he's like, I need to do something, man. Like, I'm just wasting my life. I can't get away from the bottle. I'm like, here's a link, man. This is a 6-mile race through the woods. You're gonna finish it. Just do it. It took him a while, a long while, but he managed to push himself through that 6 miles, and he did something that he never thought he was capable of. I never in a million years thought that I could run a 10K, 6 miles. Then I didn't think I could run a half marathon. Then I didn't think I could run a full marathon. Here's the thing. When you start to do hard shit, Anyway, when you start to do hard stuff becomes less hard. I know that sounds like logical, right? It's just you have this mental expansion. It's the same in the corporate world, right? You're like, oh, I don't know if I could be the person all the way at the top. Well, you don't just jump there. As you start moving up the ladder and you start taking on more responsibility and you start testing the boundaries and pushing yourself and learning what you're capable of, then you get to the top and you're like, okay, yeah, like I kind of worked my way up. I've expanded my mental capacity, right? We all have that within us. I have one of my trainers, she's like, I've just been so scared. I've never went after a promotion. I never really thought that I deserved it. I'm like, what? I was like, you're not at her other job, not with me. I'm like, look at the way you've transformed this gym. Look at the people who respond to you, how they respond to you. Look at the courage you've got to go up in front of all these people and teach them fitness and like everything that you've done for our gym and how you've transformed it. Who can be better than you? And when I got her into that mindset, she's like, I think you're right. Like, I'm going to go for this promotion, right? We just got to unlock the anchors. We have a lot in the tank. All right, so we walk through those things. All that makes sense? Interesting? Okay, got one thumbs up. All right, now I'm going to do something I've never done. So this is me going outside of my comfort zone. It's not a GoFundMe, but I've never done this before. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this because if this whole crowd, I think a lot of you might have taken some things away from this, but there might be 1 or 2 people in this crowd that are like, this is me. Like, there's a fire that went out, and I know I have a lot more potential. I have more to do, I have more to be, I have more to give, etc. And so I want to talk to you people. But I'll give a summary for everyone else. So the summary is on the left. The shortcut formula, the key takeaway of this whole presentation is resistance equals growth. Do hard things, and that's the right path. So if it's hard, if it's the hard path, that's usually the right path to take, right? That's not too hard. Average people always take the easy path. That's why they're average. That's why they stay at base camp. They don't climb mountains, right? So take the hard path, go through the resistance, because when you push yourself through the resistance, you challenge yourself, and when you challenge yourself, you learn a lot about yourself, and you become a better version on the other side of that. Oh, sorry. But for the people over here that are ready to climb, the reason I'm doing this is because I took myself back to where I was at. When the fire was out and I was locked in the cage and I wanted out of the cage, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I went and read a ton of books. I listened to a ton of podcasts, and I started running incorrectly, by the way, meaning I didn't know how to run correctly, and it actually ended up costing me a little bit. But I ended up just running because I didn't know what else to do, right? I wanted to get in shape physically, mentally. Fitness is the #1 way to test yourself mentally. And when you challenge yourself with fitness and you start getting into fitness, you show up better everywhere else in life better. Just my quick plug for fitness. But I didn't really know what to do. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to write a book. I was going to call it Anchors from Hell, something like that. And I'm like, well, people will read the book, blah, 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 blah. It's like 200 pages later, and did they really get anything out of it? Probably not, right? So I'm like, instead of doing that, I'm going to create a program. And I have a program, and it's not just for you guys in this presentation, but it's something that I put together. So when people come up to me and they say like, hey, what you said really resonated with me. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. What do? I put it together in a program. There's 8 coaching videos. They're less than 5 minutes, and they're on the most important topics that I've learned over the last 3 years of spending $750,000, right? Time to climb, mediocrity is a choice, fitness is foundation, the power of non-negotiables, removing the baggage, the art of pleasure, expanding the mental capacity, the credit that belongs to you, and the powerful tools that you can use on your journey. I also did write a book. It's my Light Your Fire playbook. And then I have a 28-day challenge that I give to people. So I run this with my members at my gym too. It's not just a fitness challenge, but there is a fitness component to it, because like I said, that's what challenges you physically and mentally. But there's other things that you have to do. The key thing that you have to do every single day is what I call a wild card habit. And so it's gonna push you to do things that you've probably never dreamed of doing. One of the stupid examples on there is like, tell 3 people that you love them on that day, right? Or call someone that you haven't called in a long time that means something to you and have a conversation with them, or just tell them that you're thinking about them. So there's those kind of examples. They're built in every single day, and you have a prescribed, here's what you do. It doesn't take too much time, but if you do all 28 days, you will have gotten outside of your comfort zone. You would have done things that have probably been on your to-do list for a long time to do, and you'll feel really good about yourself. You'll feel like you're actually working towards, that progress. So I'm also going to include my top self-help books. Self-help. I call them self-impact. I don't like self-help for some reason, but self-impact books you've probably never heard of. So my top 5 are probably ones you have heard of, but I have another top 5 that are ones you probably never have heard of, right? Everyone's probably thinks of David Goggins for top. Anyone know David Goggins? What kind of audience am I talking to here? Okay, good. Everyone knows David Goggins. All right, so Andrew Carnegie, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm not putting those books on the list. I'm going to put other books on the list that have really transformed my life and had a powerful impact. And so I don't want you to be me. Don't go and spend $750,000. I have that whole program for $47. All you do is text HERO to that number, and you'll get a link from me. Actually, right now, it'll send you a link. You can pay the $49, and you'll get everything that I just talked through. And this kind of is my GoFundMe. It's a good way to support me. But when I say that we have platforms to serve, these are the things that I'm trying to do. I have a Light Your Fire podcast that has over 100 episodes that talk about all of these topics. And I'm trying to put together platforms that scale and can really help people and serve people. So like I said, out of a room of 100 people, there might be 1 or 2 people that's actually I think that I need something else. I need that next step. And if that's you, you can just text HERO to that number, and it'll trigger a workflow, and you guys will be good to go. You also get all my socials and stuff like that, so we can connect, become friends, and hopefully lifelong friends. My boy Mike's in the crowd somewhere. There he is. Yeah, Mike, what's up, man? Mike shows up in my gym at 5 a.m. every morning. It's a machine. You guys all know Mike from Salesforce? They do now. Yeah, so Mike and I have been friends for a long time. Started coming to the gym and made my life so much better, because having him there at 5 in the morning when I'm trying to wake up and get everyone going, Mike walks through the door, I'm like, all right, man, we're in it. I love it. That's hard. 5 a.m.'s tough. All right, and that's it. Where am I at on time? Oh, perfect time. All right, cool.